All right. Hi, L'Oreal.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I'm great. So we are here to talk about Zora's Place as well as the
Hmm.
theme of um, like big midlife reinventions. And so I
Yeah.
was looking back at your newsletter because I remember last year where you announced like I'm going to start a bookstore, and
Hmm.
then it seemed like it happened in like a second. And I'm always so like I'm someone who loves to plan and like be very
Yeah.
and it seemed like you just really had this. Like you had a vision and you made it happen. So tell us about Zora's Place.
Yeah. So Zora's Place is a Black feminist bookstore in Evanston, Illinois. We're just outside of Chicago, and we carry primarily Black women writers. There's a few Black men in our children's section because I want our boys to have representation as well. And we also sell gift items, puzzles, journals, pens, candles, scrubs, you name it, that are also by Black women-owned businesses, primarily in the Chicagoland area, but there are a few that are, outside of our jurisdiction as well. And in addition to the items that we have for sale in the store and the book, we also do a lot of community events. So we have a family story time once a month. We have done author talks and book signings. We recently partnered with a local organization of teachers in Chicago and Evanston to put together these liberation libraries. So we had a packing party, and it was legit a party. There was a DJ and everything, and they packed about 60 or 64 boxes, I believe, of diverse books and other, arts and STEAM curriculum for children whose families, their caregivers don't feel safe sending them to school with the ICE presence that we have here currently. And so that moment and standing on my chair where I am right now at my desk to like take some footage from above and seeing how it all came together and, just really being able to do something positive and give back in a way that is tangible, but also like makes sense with our mission and is
Yeah.
alignment with the community. That's the biggest thing because I've said from the beginning, this is more than a bookstore. It's really intended to be a community hub and the sanctuary essentially for Black women, especially to our tagline is read, rest, and resist. And so seeing all of that come to fruition has just been so rewarding.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really love the emphasis on the local as well, like that
Yeah.
it can be a community hub, you could support other
Mhm.
local small businesses. I think that's amazing. Could you tell us a little bit about the inspiration for Zora's Place? Like, how did you become a bookstore owner? I think of you as like a writer and a yoga instructor and those kinds of things. I
Yeah.
feel like I can
All
see
the
the
above.
connection. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a through line there, but what inspired
Absolutely.
Zora's Place?
So back in 2019, I visited Cafe Con Libros in Brooklyn. They're an intersectional feminist bookstore. I was on a sort of book crawl, if you will, with my book club at the time, and just tucked the idea in the back of my head, like someday I'm gonna open a bookstore. That's like every author's dream, right? I'm gonna open a
Or a bakery,
bookstore.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's some kind of like bookstore, bakery, coffee shop, flower shop combination thing, right? Like very Hallmark
Yeah.
movie. And
Yeah.
my idea was like this three-story brownstone that was a bookstore and coffee shop on the first level, and then had a community co-working event space in the middle, and then a yoga studio on top. And I just, pushed it to the back burner, accepted that that was, a retirement dream because who am I to open a bookstore, in at the time my like early 30s. And so, as the years go on, publishing my first book, having my daughter, and there's this wonderful space that Zora's Place is actually located in. So, we are part of the Ox Wellness Collective, which is inside of the Ox overall. And it's this huge, like 25,000 square foot commercial space that's founded by Black women, and there's three co-owners, and I had been following their progress in the local paper for years and primarily was looking at it as a co-working space for myself as someone
Hmm.
who's been, permanently worked from home since 2020. And they also have a yoga studio. So I was like, oh, and I can teach here. It's much closer to home. And as I was talking to Tiffany, the who oversees the wellness collective portion, and we were, talking about what the schedule could look like, what kind of classes I wanted to teach. And I had had that idea percolating about a bookstore. My friend Catherine Morgan in Portland opened Grand Gestures, the first romance only bookstore out
Hmm.
there, and had a similar trajectory where she started online with the bookshop.org storefront and then did a couple of pop ups and some crowdfunding and eventually opened up her brick and mortar. So in my mind, I was thinking, I knew I had visited the Ox before. I knew they still had some pop-up spaces. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, wouldn't it be fun if? And
Yeah.
as I was talking to Tiffany and taking the tour, she showed me the space that we're in now. And it was truly love at first sight. Immediately, I imagined the orange sofa, the artwork by Black women, and just having it be this bright, vibrant community space and rooted in wellness. So a lot of our books, of course, we have, the classics, the Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou were named after Zora Neale Hurston
Hmm.
because Their Eyes Are Watching God is my favorite book. But we also have a pretty extensive self-help and wellness collection where my
Hmm.
book sits as well. And that's been really probably our most popular section, to be honest, especially given the political time that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And Black women, as part of the 92%, it's like we did our part. And so
Well,
now it's very much like we're going to rest and understand that that is also resistance.
yeah.
And so to have this space, I feel again very fortunate, very blessed. It did come together very quickly because I think I had the idea, I had started to play around with like name of a place or something like that back in May. By June, we had launched the crowdfunding
Yeah.
campaign. We had a soft opening in the beginning of August, and then we had, or no, no, no. The soft opening was September 6th, actually, and a couple of different pop-up events in between, and then the grand opening September 20th. So when people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I feel like it came together really fast," I'm like, "It did,"
I
because
mean,
it did. And I feel strongly though, like when you are rooted in your purpose and walking like in that mission and feel very grounded, like divine alignment is so true. It's like there
yeah.
was an ease, not to say that any of this is easy, but there was an ease to it that I never experienced in my career before because it just felt like the universe conspired to make this
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
I think that's just such an inspiration because I feel like so many of us have these plans that like, maybe down the line I'll do
Hmm.
da da da, or like when I have time or when my kids are
Yeah.
grown up or whatever, like wouldn't it be nice to? And I
Hmm.
love that you just did it. You
Yeah.
said in one of your newsletters, I think the idea of like big fuck it energy. Like let's just like
Yes.
we just
Let's see what happens. And I mean, much to probably my husband's chagrin, he's much more of the logical, rational, kind of like matter of fact one. And I'm very much the intuitive and impulsive. But, we balance each other
Mhm.
in that way. But was able to get him on board because there truly was this gap in the market. I mean, we do
Yeah.
have Black women owned bookstores in Chicago. A lot are primarily on the South side, but there was nothing on the North side. And it's
Yeah.
like, we're out here too. Black people live in the suburbs and we live in the North Shore. And so I saw an opportunity. There was the space available and a place that makes sense that is really, rooted in DEI as part of our
Yeah.
DNA. It's not just like
Yeah.
a buzzword or something that's like a nice to have. I mean, in the very foundation of all of the businesses in here, because there are many. And so I feel very grateful to have found my people and found this space, and the community response to it has been overwhelmingly positive from the little kids, which was important to me to have a children's section because of my daughter and her love of books, and just that representation for our kids that I didn't experience growing up.
Yeah.
So we have the book facing out, they're at their level so that they can pick them up and they see themselves represented on the cover in the pages, and then everyone to like, there's been grandmas in their 80s who have come in and thanked me for creating this space, and it makes me want to cry because I'm like, well, no, thank you for like paving the way and making it possible and all that you had to go through for me to
Yeah.
sit here today. So
Yeah.
it's very surreal.
That's so beautiful. Could you do like a quick, I don't know if you ever do this with your kids, mine don't abide it, but some people do, I think, like rose thorn, like what would you say
Mm.
has been like maybe the most exciting part of this and maybe like the scariest, most challenging?
Yeah, I was literally telling my husband last night, it feels like a roller coaster where there's like high highs. So I think of that Liberation Library packing party where I was
Oh
just like, this
man.
is it. This is amazing. The energy was great. People really came out in droves, like they had more donations than they knew what to do with. We're planning on doing a second part in December, like a ugly sweater holiday cookie party kind of thing, and people bring donations. So those are definitely the highs when I hear, especially from other Black women, again, that intergenerationalness of it all. It just like warms my heart and reminds me why I do this.
Yeah.
And then the lows would certainly be, those days where nobody comes into the store and I
Mhm.
second guess everything. Like, what am I doing? I made a bad decision, a bad financial decision, right, for my family. This is gonna fail. Everything's, awful. And I had talked to my therapist actually at the beginning of this, and she asked me, like, how are you going to remain, level?
Yeah.
There will be the highs
Yeah.
and the lows. I'm still working on it. The little mantra I have kind of running in my, back of my head sometimes is like, tomorrow's another day where, if it's very slow today, there could be people that come in the next day and just still
Mhm.
kind of, experimenting, building our brand. But just reminding myself like this too shall pass on either end, of the highs and the lows and trying to find. And that's where I feel like yoga and meditation and all of the
Mhm.
different mindfulness techniques that I've practiced throughout the years comes in handy as well because it is easy to ride that emotional roller coaster. I was telling someone too, it's very different because I've been freelancing in some way, shape, or form since 2008. And
Oh,
there
wow.
is something, I don't know, I feel like kind of intangible about being a service provider, and there's a stark difference in it now being like having a brick and mortar where I can like see the numbers are
Yeah.
way more visible and I know how business is doing because I can see the foot traffic or
Hmm.
lack thereof that's
Yeah.
coming in. So yeah, there's been a lot of nervous system regulation that has had to take place the last couple of months. And I'm still learning. I lean on other booksellers in the community who've been so helpful and so generous with the information and just sharing and paying it forward. And I had even asked, there's Jordan and Tim at Three Avenues Bookshop in Lakeview here in Chicago. In like a group chat with them and like the frantic text. And I was like, I don't know how I could ever repay you all. And they would just like pay it forward to the next bookseller because there was someone who did the same for them. And that I feel like is the community behind indie bookstores and what makes them so special.
Yeah. I love that. And I feel like a lot of what you're talking about is like the bookstore is a new thing for you, but there are all of these
Mhm.
threads of like all of your practices and your community and everything that have really made
Yeah.
that possible. And for yourself to be able to like work through that change as it
Yeah.
is. I mean, it's one thing to like have the big dream and run after it,
Mhm.
and then you have to like do it every day.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
will admit, I feel like there was a part of me that, I confess probably glorified being a bookstore owner.
That's
And
why I
it is,
don't own a bakery, is because I feel like I have the tiniest sliver of a sense of how much work it would be. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so I'm like, I own that. That was my bad. And I still feel I have never felt this fulfilled in a role before. And it really does tie everything together that I do as an author, as a journalist, as a mom, as a community member here in Evanston, as a feminist, as all of these different things. And so I feel like that's why for some people it kind of like I think maybe came out of nowhere, but then also it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it just
She's
makes
actually been
sense.
doing all of these things all
Yeah,
along. Yeah.
exactly.
So I would love to close out by asking you for a recommendation.
Mm,
Yeah, I know, right? Like, and very broadly construed. It could be a
yeah.
habit that is helpful for you, a book that you think we all should buy, um, a drink that you are loving this time of year.
Mm,
Yeah, what is so
yeah.
what would you recommend in the spirit maybe of like um keeping us even keeled as we head into the
Mm,
holidays or yeah.
yeah. I have the perfect book. Can I go grab it real quick?
Please,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. I've been talking to anyone who will listen
Ooh,
about this.
oh, I love that
So,
title.
Blessed is Liberation by Christine Platt. She also wrote Afro Minimalist, which I read back in 2021. changed my life. Because I think, with Pinterest and Instagram, when you hear minimalism and it has a very, just like kind of like dark and depressing and everything is kind of bland. She really talked about, no, it can be colorful and vibrant and also about like the history of, Black people in America and going through, the different eras and why, our parents may be hoarders because, their parents lived through the Great
Yeah.
Depression and so forth. And so that really opened my eyes. I followed her for a number of years. We DM all the time. So when she told me that this was coming out, I was like, you have to come to my bookstore. And
Yeah.
I was so honored because we were the only Chicago stop that she did. And there are bookstores that are much bigger, much more famous than ours. And she flew out, same day, flew back out to DC. But I told her as I was reading this, because of course had the advanced copy to prepare for our conversation. And I had to set it down after the first 10 pages because
Mm.
she had dragged me for filth. It was just like a little too loud because the subtitle is Finding Freedom from a Life of Overwhelm. And the day that I started reading it, and much like today, and before our
Yeah.
conversation, was feeling that overwhelm. And so where Afro minimalist was more about like decluttering your physical space. This is about decluttering your mind, your calendar. And there was this great acronym that she discussed in the book, and we also talked about when she was here for her author talk, but terms in terms of using that as an acronym and kind of this litmus test for deciding whether you say yes to an ask. And so it's PERMS. The first P is, do you have the time to do it and being honest with yourself? Do you have the energy? Do you have like what is the relationship with the
Mhm.
person who is asking? Right?
Mhm.
Is this an actual friend or just someone like a one-off or like an acquaintance or someone you don't know, stranger on the internet, right?
Mhm.
Um, is the money right? Like if it's something that or is the an equitable ask
Mhm.
where you're getting paid whatever your fee is, or there's something that's in it that's mutually beneficial. And then the F is it worth your sanity? And I kid you not, I need to put that on a post-it note and put it on my
Yeah.
desk. And so it's
Yeah.
front of mind at all times because I am still a recovering people pleaser. I don't like to say no, but it really truly is getting to a point where I have to. There's so many, and I think the bookstore has been a really good discipline in that as well because all of a sudden everyone and their mom is an author. So every day they're like, "Can you carry my
Yeah.
book? Can you carry?" And so if I said yes to everyone, like I feel like it would kind of dilute the mission and what we're doing. And I'm being very standing 10 toes down in that we are primarily for Black women writers.
Mhm.
And being unapologetic about it, but also, there was a very lucrative opportunity that happened a couple of months ago that would have been amazing for us financially and was not in line with our mission. And so Eve Ewing, great author, professor, also a
Yeah.
co-owner of Build
Yeah.
here in Chicago, she was like, you've got to keep in mind, like the thing she texted me was mission creep. And I was like,
Wow.
and he was right. He was right. And so it pained me to say no to that opportunity. And I'm optimistic that something else will come along that does make sense, that is in line with our mission and vision and goals. But yeah, Christine's book has been a balm in terms of just that truly less is liberation, less on your to-do list, less on your calendar. So I can really focus on what's in front of me. And right now that's literally this bookstore.
Mhm.
Writing my next book, which is an
Yes.
infertility memoir, and also starting up with this next IVF cycle for baby number two. So baby, book, and bookstore. Those are my three B's for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And I think that kind of clarity is amazing. Yeah. So thank you for recommending that book. I
Yes,
will definitely check it out. How can we support Zora's Place? Obviously, people who are in Chicago come in and can come in and shop. Are
yes.
there other ways we can support you from farther away?
Absolutely. So you can go to our website, sign up for our newsletter, it's zoraplace.com, and that has all of the information on things that are coming up, upcoming events, other ways that you can support us. You can shop online at bookshop.org/shop bookstore.com/Zora's Place. It's on the website, so that's probably the easiest thing
I will
to
link all of
do.
this. Yes.
But also audiobooks. We have a Libro.fm account. We have gift cards, and we're going to be having merch. It's coming out later this month for Small Business
Ooh,
Saturday. That will also be available online. And in the future, definitely want to have some virtual book clubs and writing workshops as well. That'll be online for people who don't live in the area as well. So thank you.
amazing. I love that. So like
Yeah,
the local emphasis and then also lots of bigger reach than that too. Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. And your wonderful newsletter, LT in the City, which I
Yeah,
will also link, is just
thanks.
full of like inspiration and encouragement and wisdom.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, L'Oreal, for being part of this. I'm
Yeah,
really excited to get to share your wisdom and energy and everything.
thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me. I love this idea. I love this concept because, never too late. And there's so many, I think I saw something like Toni Morrison, first book was published in her 40s. So like
Yeah.
we can do it. We may not have a blueprint, in our personal lives. Our parents may not have done it or closest friends, but it's possible with help, right? You can't do it
Yes.
alone,
Yes.
but it
Yes.
is possible. So